All right, it is 6:30. We start this meeting of the Jericho Selectboard on July 18th, 2024. It's at 6:30. And I read my little thing at the start of each meeting. In an effort to make meetings more effective and efficient, the Select Board has made a change to the public comment portion of the meeting. Citizens wishing to address the Select Board during meeting may do so during public comment. This portion at the beginning of the meeting will still be for that material that is not on the agenda. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. All speakers will be heard before people are given a second opportunity to speak. After the meeting, the select board portion is over, we will allow public comment to be made on material that is covered during the meeting. And if there is something that happens during the meeting and we determine that somebody's input is needed, they will be called upon. For participants in Zoom, if you have a question, please raise your hand. Please only use the Zoom chat for technical issues such as room audio, or you can't raise your hand or things of that nature. Please don't comment or question in the chat as it is distracting. It's not to stifle community input, but rather allow the select board to be more effective and efficient in our work. People are welcome to email the members of the board at any time with feedback or questions. Our email addresses are on the town website and on a notice on the sign-in table. So we are going to and just to clarify the agenda, Wisdom House and Bill Butler was on the agenda. That is no longer on that. That has been postponed until the second meeting, I think, in August.
August 1st or the second meeting. Yeah.
Probably the second meeting. And then the road foreman update is strictly on road conditions post-storm. Has nothing to do with the road policy that we're working on. All right, so we're going to start with public to be heard. This is for anybody who has something that is not on the agenda. Yes, Andrew, would you please come up to the microphone so it's easier for people to hear?
For the audience in the virtual sphere, Andrew Albright, Old Pump Road. And I am here to address the deplorable condition of the Old Pump Road Bridge. This was prompted by a couple of discussions recently with actually Essex residents of Old Pump Road, one of whom has lived there all his entire life and has said that he's never seen the bridge in this condition. So a few things I wanted to bring up. Obviously, the potholes on the bridge surface. There is now a sinkhole forming at the south end of the bridge. This is not just a pothole, the pavement is collapsed.
Where is it?
On the south end of the bridge. As you're just before you get to the abutment of the bridge. There's about 50 feet of asphalt on either end of the bridge. The bridge approaches. If you didn't know that pavement was there, you'd be forgiven for not knowing, because it's buried 5 or 6 inches deep in dirt. Which hasn't been cleaned off. The road crew did cut, I don't know, sometime this spring, and clean the bridge deck. They didn't make any attempt to clean off those paved approaches. There is actually a tree growing on the bridge, not on the side of the bridge, but actually on the bridge surface at the south end, because the dirt hasn't been cleaned off. It's been years since that bridge was properly cleaned. So we need to get this fixed. The other problem we've got is vegetation growing at the south end of the bridge. So as you're approaching the bridge northbound, it's very difficult to see across the bridge, and the northbound traffic really needs to stop before they cross the bridge, because if you're coming south on Old Pump Road as you approach that bridge, somebody comes around that corner, you don't see them until they're on the bridge.
What's wrong?
So that's been a long-standing problem. I really wish the town would consider putting a stop sign at the south end of the bridge for northbound traffic.
The potholes do, so they're even there.
And so
I don't mean to be good at that.
but so my big concern here is that the work window is closing You got 6 weeks and then school starts up again, and then you can't have the bridge closed because it's school buses. Or at least you're gonna have a very limited work day between buses. I've heard that there is money in the budget to correct the bridge. And I really would like to know when that's gonna get done. We can't go through another winter with the bridge in this condition. It just is not possible. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Chuck?
My hope, right now is to convince you of the seriousness of the zoning issue that was mentioned a couple meetings ago, having to do with triplexes and fourplexes. Your intent in the zoning that you passed in 2022 is not being implemented because there is an inconsistency in the zoning documents. So, and I'll want to pass out the table of uses.
I think there's,
In front of you. Thank you. This is what you passed in 2022. And we made some important changes. I believe if you look at where I have the arrows, you intended for 3 and 4 dwelling units to be permitted in village, commercial, and the village center on a lot. And that they would be conditional use for the low density residential. Later in the document, there was something that was not changed, which says that density in all cases is calculated based on a single or a duplex on a lot. So what that means is, and what's happening, we have multiple developers now who want to build the housing that we want, where they want it, more than one. And they're not able to do it because of the problem I'm about to describe. So if you look at, say, the village center, where the lots, there's 1 acre lots, I believe you intended that someone would be able to build a fourplex on one lot. But the inconsistency in the zoning documents later on, something that should have been changed that wasn't changed, I don't have it, we can describe it for you, says that the density is based on 1 or 2 houses per lot. So in the village, you actually need 2 acres to build a fourplex. The zoning administrator is speaking to one element of the zoning regulations that says that density is based on 1 or 2 houses per lot. So you can build a fourplex in the village, but you have to have 2 lots to do it because the density can be no more than 1 or 2 units
Yeah.
per lot. Now, we have someone in the commercial district who just proposed just the kind of development we want. On a good piece of land with multifamily housing, and is basically hearing back. That's fine, but you can only build 1 or 2 units per 1 acre lot, as opposed to your intent, which was in the commercial district, 5 or more units per acre. So what we understand in talking with the previous planner is that, well, there was many things that have to change to make this whole document internally consistent, and this was just plain one thing that missed, okay? So if you look further, Eric, what I've been harassing you about is, I think we ought to be able to build triplexes or fourplexes in the forest, in the rural residential, and as in the low density residential as a permitted use. So that's what I've been pushing you on. Okay, now I'm talking about what you've already.
right. No, I understand that.
you know how to-
After your correction of that last one, I understand
Yeah,
that now.
So we were all went through this thing. I'm quite confident in your intent. Okay. And there was one, so the piece that is in there later on. It basically, it's 5.6, and it basically says the
That's the
density.
density paragraph.
Yeah, the density paragraph. So we have someone who wants to build multifamily housing in the commercial district, wrote to the
Mine doesn't have.
zoning administrator for clarification and basically got back, that's fine, you think you can build. I think it was 40 units, you can only really build 20. And then you heard about the other one. I'm not here as an advocate for either one, I'm an advocate for housing. This seems to me like a pretty simple change. I don't think we have to go through the hearings. I think you can just say our intent was clear. There's this one paragraph that, we forgot to change. Let's just fix it.
Oh, there is, there's work being done on that, but based on the meeting that talked about the public hearing on January 6th, 2022, that did this. The comment
Wait,
was.
say that again?
I s- It was the public comment when we had the public hearing on January 6th of 2022 from the planning commission. And these are the responses. And it says, for this package of amendments, PC did not tackle a wholesale review to consider changing how density and lots interact with the regulations. That would be a significant change to the underpinning of Jericho zoning and is outside the scope of what they had done. So that's where the issue is right now. So it would really be in the hands of the planning commission to start moving anything
Well,
forward.
could you ask them to do that?
Right now, well, actually, they're so busy right now with trying to do.
I don't think this is that complicated.
They do have to follow the rules.
I understand
Yeah.
that, but let them manage their schedule.
Right, that's
okay?
true. We could
You
ask them.
could tell them
Yeah.
the importance of this. okay?
Absolutely, we could.
I mean,
yes.
we're taking our sweet time on the wastewater. There's a lot of things that are going slow. We have people that are trying to do what we want, where we want them to do it. This is not, this is not, this is not a massive change.
Well, they're also trying to figure out what Act 250 changes they have to put in there, the changes of the age, but the new bill that has just passed. Some things start in Act now and other things are happening in 2025 and 2026.
I really don't think a decision to allow.
I think Chuck's point
Yeah,
is that we're talking about, I'm speaking maybe out of turn, but like, we're talking about changing 3 words in a paragraph. And so is that?
Well, I'm confused. I'm slow when it comes to the zoning stuff. I understand this very well, but what you're saying is that even though we have this table here in 2.21, 2.22, 2.23, and that even though we have that did make it in,
Yes.
but we have this other table that also needs to weigh into when you're reviewing it to whether it can be approved or not, having to do with density on the lot, which is somehow separate from
right.
number of units.
So basically saying.
So this is saying that if the density is 1 acre, you can do this, but only if it's on a 4 acre.
Exactly,
Right.
Is that right? Or is it?
yes.
So
Yes.
you can do 2, the density is based on 2 units per lot.
But what he's
Okay.
saying is the idea is that you can do this stuff only if you have a bunch more acres than you need.
So like 2.2.2, multi-household dwelling, 3 or 4 units. So you're saying effectively what we passed is, yes, they can do that, but that they would need,
More density.
but they would, but isn't it quarter acre zoning in the villages?
Well,
Yes, but that's, right, this is describing, what you're looking at is describing, is what is permitted on whatever the lot size is in that district. So it's quarter acre in the village center.
Yeah.
It's 1 acre in commercial, 1 acre in village.
Oh,
3
okay.
acres
1
in-
acre in commercial is,
Right.
okay, all right.
So
I'm with you
in the
now.
commercial, in the 1 acre zone, I believe your intent was, yeah, you can build a 4-plex there.
But what we got was, you can
Yes,
build a
you can,
fourplex
but
if
you
you
can
have
have
4
all this
acre,
extra
you have to have
acreage.
all the land required for it. Because
Right, it's
we
basically
didn't,
turning it into it's like
Okay.
basically a poor man's PUD.
and then your point further is fix that.
Pardon?
Exactly.
And your point further is to fix
Fix it.
that, fix that piece and abide by this piece.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we have people who have taken steps to develop property or consider property or approach the zoning administrator using the table of uses. And they say, okay, village, the village district, it's 1 acre zoning and, a 4-plex is a permitted use. I'd like to do that, and I believe we would like them to do that.
Sure.
But instead, they're going in and what they're hearing, and it's not, I don't know that anybody's doing anything wrong, it's just, there is this other part that says, okay,
Right.
you can only have a maximum of 2 units per lot,
Because the density, only density you're allowed is that.
is up to 2
Right.
units, and that, you know,
But what you said is exactly right. You need these extra acreage
Yep.
to allow you to put your fourplex in there
Yeah.
for example, 40 units.
Yeah, I get it. Like you said, I'm
there's
slow with this stuff.
Many things we're trying to do.
Work
You're
on the
doing
simple
economic
ones.
Development, I mean, there's all these things we're trying to do that are hard and complicated and taking a long time. This is one that's really simple and actionable, and the house, and the town plan in every category talks about housing as a crisis. We're not moving at crisis speed. But this is something that could be taken care of quite easily, so I think it's a matter of letting the planning commission know. I mean, I don't think it's a big study, I think it's. If they agree that this was just something that was missed, which is what the previous planner has said, who we have a lot of confidence in,
Mhm.
who was here.
Catherine.
Yeah.
Catherine Sonic said, oh, yeah, we missed that, okay? So if the planning commission agrees that it was just, okay, this was a writing error or something, it just seems like something that could be corrected quite quickly. Of all the things that we can do to add the housing we want, where we want it, I can't think of anything simpler than this. And if we can't move on this quickly, then
Right.
it's time to rewrite the town plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There was more on the bridge. You could finish that subject.
Can I just,
Thank you.
You're next, yeah?
Great.
Yeah. And then identify yourself with the.
I'm Bob Hill on Old Pump Road, and I just want to tag team on what Andrew was saying. I've lived on the road for 27 years. And the potholes on either side of the bridge are just, they're quite bad right now. It doesn't have anything to do with the storms because they've been like that through every season. And I just want to know, is there going to be something undertaken to correct the problem? Because it's quite bad. People are.
Well, I do know that the aprons were scheduled to be paved this year.
What does this year mean?
Usually we
The
split.
fiscal year
The
or the
fiscal
calendar
year.
Fiscal year.
Fiscal.
Usually what we do is we split paving between both fiscal years, so you do some in the end of like say 2024 or 3, and then some in the beginning of 2021, so you can do a bigger package and get a better deal.
Okay, I get that. I
But-
would say this should be fast tracked, and if you're not gonna do it until next year, repairs have to be made because
Okay.
it's just unacceptable. If
Yeah,
someone
I
drove-
don't know.
Excuse me,
Because
if someone drove
Yeah.
through. Even at a reduced speed limit, they're gonna damage their car. So it is a
Yeah.
real problem, so I hope you understand that.
Oh, absolutely, because,
Affect some change.
we do know that, we haven't not seen anything from a paving bid from Kyle, like, that was, usually we see, what the cost of the paving is.
can I suggest
Yeah.
that each of you drive up there, drive up the road, cross the bridge, and see what Bob's talking.
Yeah, actually, so I don't know if this is appropriate, but I was gonna see if you have some time next week, early next week, and you and I can just find like 45 minutes and go take a look at it.
Cross there in town truck, you're not gonna, those holes you won't fill. You need to drive across there.
But we can get out and look, right? We can get out and look at it. That's what I'd like to do. So maybe you and I can just find it sometime Tuesday, probably.
And since the state is coming to assess Fitzsimons, which is also is a small bridge, is it possible that they could look and see that the structural analysis, quick structural analysis, because the state is the one who looks at, determines the quality of the bridge.
Sure, but this needs to be taken care of
Yeah.
sooner than later, right?
Right.
So who does, like, what's the schedule? I mean, there must be a schedule somewhere with like, oh, here are the 6 bridges that are being dealt with this year, and the first 2 that are happening in the fall are these, and the ones that are happening in the spring or something else. Like, is there, who does that? Who-
There is, before myself, Tyler did come up with a paving plan as to, that included Old Pump. So I did see that information, and now it's just putting out the bid to do that now that we're in the fiscal year, the new fiscal
The new
year.
fiscal year.
Yeah, yeah. And so we can definitely, work
Okay.
on kind of moving that ahead of, anything else.
Do you have a sense of how bad Old Pump is compared to how bad some other bridge that Tyler said we got to deal with this year? Do you have a sense of Old Pump is worse, the same, not as bad?
Old Pump is, yeah,
Is bad. I mean, I know it's bad, but in the
yes,
scope of all the ones, it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was,
Okay.
it was on the top of the.
Yeah.
Okay, so it wouldn't
yeah.
be, it would make sense.
correct.
I'm
I
putting
think
words in
it's
your
a
mouth.
huge project. I'm no road engineer. It's just the approach to the bridge either side.
Correct, yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah,
aprons, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, and
Okay.
it sounds like, and Andrew's concerned about the bridge itself too, and,
Right.
so.
Okay, well, thank you.
thank
you.
you.
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to bring up, because typically we would do it, get the bids in the spring of the one fiscal year, because then you could do a larger package. Splitting it between the two fiscal years, and then,
Because we reduced it this year because of the
yeah, we did,
maintenance facility.
yeah.
Is it? You feel free to say, I don't know. Can we say that we're gonna have it done? We're gonna have that bridge dealt with and passable and et cetera,
think-
before winter?
I would like to say yes, that we should definitely make all the effort to
That's the
get that
target.
done.
But being politicians, we're careful about promising. things.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
No, that's why I said it's
Okay.
fine to say
Yeah,
no.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's the target.
no, definitely, yeah.
It's a.
Yeah, I think having it more passable for winter would be the objective, and I really would like to get a commitment from the county to get that done. In the long run, though, I think I'm really concerned about the sinkhole at the south end of the bridge, because it's right by the abutment, and that water just cannot drain out of there at all now. So it's going down behind, and if it starts undermining that abutment, then the bridge is in.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to have, like, the state who does the assessment of bridge should look at that, because, that.
I wonder if when that guy comes to look at Fitzsimons, if
We
it's,
can definitely,
Yeah.
we
Pop
can
'em up.
definitely do that, yeah. We'll
Yeah, that's what
see
I
if we
thought,
can
yeah,
Get him
we
over
could-
there.
yeah.
Because that, that's what the state does.
Is that gonna happen soon-ish?
we don't know.
You mean the
Fitzsimons,
state's coming to look at the Simons?
Fitzsimons Road Bridge is down, like it's impassable, so we're waiting for them to come inspect it before we can work on it. So what I was just suggesting if,
Yeah.
hopefully that guy's coming soon, and when he does, maybe we can bring him up.
That was my thinking, because you've already got the state here.
Yeah,
Is there any prohibition on actually cleaning some of the dirt off the approaches now and maybe fixing the potholes before the bridge inspector looks at it, and we have to wait?
Well, he shouldn't be that far, because this is one of the, FEMA events that took out the Fitzsimons Road Bridge.
but
So
I
they're gonna
think,
look
I
at
think
it fairly
looking at
soon.
it, I'll go take a look at it with the road foreman here, early next week, and then maybe we can put it on the agenda and talk about it, and have
'Cause I
like,
think the state's supposed to come next week.
is it next week?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
If you can look at it on a day when it has been raining, you'll see the puddle that forms at the south end. There's no place for that water to go except down.
I hear that, but I'm not gonna wish for rain. Forecast looks amazing right now, so we're not gonna wish for any more rain. But yes, I hear what you're saying.
Just to add one comment, we.
Could you please state your name for the record?
Beth Albright, it's just one sentence. John Leo was delivering soil to us a few weeks back. And the driver would not go over that bridge. And reported back to John Leo's that maybe that was a condemned bridge, wasn't there a sign that should have been there? That's how nervous she was about, what size was her truck?
16,000 pounds total weight.
Yeah, it's a scary bridge at times.
Thank you. Are there any other comments that are not on the agenda? Yes, please come up to the, and then, say your name for the record.
My name is Lathan Gravel, and I was just listening to you guys talk about density. Sometimes it's clearer with the units of numbers, dwelling units per acre versus dwelling unit per lot. And it sounded like you guys are going back and forth about these, and to me, if we break it down to the units, the numbers make more sense. So there might be a contradiction in how many dwelling units you could have on a lot for how many dwelling units you could have on an acre.
Right.
So if that helps,
Mm.
but my item is. In general, what I would like to do is put, Class 4 Snipe Island Road on the select board's agenda.
Say it again, for what?
Class 4 Snipe Island Road on the select board's agenda or the town's agenda and create a planning process that's inclusive to all the stakeholders and interested parties. And there are a number of them that I can identify, including the town and the town plan. So, that's my suggestion. I don't know how.
Are you talking about opening it up again?
Well, it's a road that serves adjacent landowners.
Yeah, it was.
But when
it
you
was-
say add it to the agenda, what do you,
Add what to the agenda exactly?
Well, I just want to start a planning process that includes all interested parties, and the town obviously is one of them.
but
And,
planning to what?
He
To
wants to-
reconnect it to Snipe Ireland?
No, it
No,
won't ever be
that'll never
connected.
happen.
Oh, so
It's just-
yeah, then I guess
He
I'm
wants it
not
to
following
open
you.
up because there was a couple landowners who had large forest blocks, which is why we did not completely condemn the road
Yeah, there's a
And-
state law that protects our right to use the roadway.
for
And,
the forest land, yeah.
and for to access property that can be, developed in whatever way the rules allow it to be developed. So some of those things may be eminent, and the town also has in the plan that it wants to be a trail, so. If it wants to be a trail, it has to have some thought would have to be put into that.
So you are thinking either trail or class 3.
Well, I'm thinking maybe a mix of both. My objective is take all the interested parties. Get together, figure out a way to serve all their interests and kind of close the chapter on it. And I didn't really want to bring all the details in on it today because it could be an extensive conversation. I just wanted to put it on the agenda, so to speak. So I know that my family has an intention. I know there's some other landowners that have an intention. I know the town has an intention in the town plan. So. Let's put our heads together and figure out the best way to make everybody happy is what I'd like to do.
Isn't quite a bit of that land though in forest protected category? I know there
What
was
was
there's one woman's land that was all in forest. Gosh,
Yandows, Ginny Yandows.
Yeah,
The new owners, the Sharrows own that, and I think some of it may be conserved, but it's.
yeah, it was conserved land. Yeah.
Just part of it, but the technical, it's the roadway we're more concerned about. You know. So there's that, and also in recent events, we had a big washout at the top of Snipe Island Road. And I don't know if you've heard from other people have made observations, but there's a clear reason that happened, and from our observation, and I have a little exhibit here I can share with you guys. But there's the brook that follows Snipe Island Road, which maybe is nameless, but I heard tell it might be. But
It says Millbrook on Google Maps.
Millbrook's the one.
flows into Millbrook.
Oh, okay.
But that brook crosses just upstream, and I can, use my point to things on this exhibit if it's not clear. But, here. So it's kind of upside down in a way. Well, the north is up on the page, but if you're driving up the road, it becomes class 4 here at where Jimmy Yandow's place used to be.
Right,
And this is the brook that flows adjacent. This is the waterway that just blew apart Snipe Island Road in a number of ways. It did, well, further down at Barnard's where it crosses the road twice. So this brook crosses here at class 4, follows along, crosses it again, then crosses it again, right? So, which can be problematic, but here, there's a stone culvert or bridge that you can get a tractor over or walk over, but that basically blew out And instead of the water going down the channel of the brook, it went down the roadway. And then washed this whole section out at the top, so. Because that brook crossing on the unmaintained part of Snipe Island Road is not proper. It allowed the water to wash out the top of the roadway and cost the town presumably a bunch of money. So. There are a lot of different aspects to why this roadway should be. Given some attention one way or another. And I'm sure all in all, it could be an improvement for everybody. So I'd like to start a planning process about it. And I don't know how we do that. I don't know what the protocol is.
Can I get a copy of that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I know that maybe the Trails Committee would be interested in it. I've spoken to some members of the Conservation Committee. There's rules and interest galore everywhere, so, and I've been kind of studying the issue myself, but I want to bring everybody in and make it an inclusive process and make a plan to do something. Decide what state the town has in it or doesn't have in it. And move forward and not just leave it kind of unmaintained and in limbo for the future. Because the unmaintained part is problematic. It's a roadway that lets the brook flow in it when the water is really coming down it, and the roadway gets washed out, and then the maintained part of the roadway gets washed out. So it just needs to be dealt with in a proper fashion, that's all.
All right.
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
Is the water crossing the roadway, is that why you're here, or is that a secondary thing?
It's
You're actually here
secondary.
for- just- Okay, so I'm still a little unclear on the original. You talked about like plan and a process and stakeholders. I don't understand if you can put it like in black and white, like, oh, I want that, I'm making this up. I want it closed, or it needs to be paved, or we need to change the zoning. Like, what is it you want to talk about?
Well, you know, I'm leaving it looser and more open because people have different things they want about it. And it's like a design process. I don't just come in and say, this is what I want, right? It's like, first you gather information from people, that interested parties, and you try to put the pieces together to make something that works, right?
I have no idea what you're trying to do, though. You're trying to,
The roadway is
put
going to be
friendlies in there,
improved
or-
one way or another,
okay, so you want road improvements.
The road is a class 4 road.
right?
Which we don't have to maintain.
Right.
You don't have to maintain.
Oh, that's, okay, that's the hard.
Beyond a
don't
certain
have to
point,
be-
but beyond a certain, I think beyond like
Where it goes
here
from
or
Ireland to
something.
Ireland, is that like, that the
It's between,
demarcation?
it's in
Between.
Right, in fact,
between there.
it's Snipe Ireland, they threw up. It's totally gone.
Okay.
Well, it's not
Yeah.
totally gone.
But
but-
it's.
I think it looks like right, he's got some lines right there, so I think everything above there is.
Yeah, so what happens is after the maintained part on the Richmond side, it becomes a trail until it hits Jericho town line. Which
And
is class 4 there.
It
There's
is.
a desire for it to be a trail, but if people want it to be a trail, more work needs to be done, right?
Right,
And it also is a roadway that serves the adjacent landowners to access their property. One property owner has only that roadway to access their property. Would be otherwise landlocked. There's 2 property owners that are in that business, Bergeron, which I put there, but Hawes is the other person that's up above Sharrow. But I can elaborate on this as long as you guys want to entertain it, but what I'm asking for is to start a planning process. And if the town has any interest in it, then the town should be involved in it somehow. And then there are private interests in it, and it was brought to my attention by Odit and Chris Flynn sometime in the past when I inquired about it, that if we wanted to improve it, we could. And the town would not
We
maintain
the
it.
town or we you?
The private landowners, but why would private landowners improve a town road and still have it be a town road? That's kind of erroneous in my sense. If
it would
it's
be
not-
private road.
We could make it a private road, that's one option too, so. there are lots of different options. I just want to bring the different stakeholders in and create something that serves everybody's needs in a planning process.
So the ask is to get a agenda item.
And that's it. So maybe we want to have a meeting sometime out where it was announced and all these stakeholders or interested parties came and you got to hear what they had to say. And then we could take that information and move forward.
Got it.
Got it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice map though.
Thanks.
We keep these?
Yeah,
Thank you.
I can send you, yeah, if you want to.
No, I'm good with this. Thank you.
All right.
Just when you get a short agenda and think it's gonna be a
Yeah.
quick night.
That's right.
We get 4 publics to be heard.
Yeah, a lot of things to discuss, that's for sure. All right, now we actually we're gonna go to the biggie of the night is review and approve setting the tax rate. That's a toughie.
You mean tough to swallow or tough to do? It can be done about.
No, but on the other hand-
It's pretty simple to me. Read the number and
Well, that's exactly it, but on the other hand, you know, when you,
tough to swallow,
when
right?
you see the homestead rate going up almost 15%, people are gonna go. "Ugh." So you wanna come up and talk a little bit about it, Brian, so at least it's in the minutes?
Well, I can certainly do that. And to highlight what you were just talking about, and Catherine, I think,
Thank you.
that's an additional piece. Well, goodness, well, wait a minute, let me see if I can reach around.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, sir. You can have some. Chuck left them for me. Or for us, I assume. I assume that's just,
Oh, my God.
I'll get working on that. I'll get working on it. Need some cooler weather.
So, yeah, I think you're familiar with the changes and increases in the various components of the tax rate. And this piece, I think, highlights the change. And I'm in the column called percent change 24-25. And this simply compares the rates this year versus last year. And I think our original purpose going into the budgeting the past year was to keep the town general fund change to a minimum. And we were successful in doing that. It's 0.5% basically.
Yeah. Which you
Which-
thought it might be between the grand
The
list
grand
and,
list,
and what
which is something we only have to wait until it comes back from the state. Until we can then set the tax rate. But I think it's interesting that if you were met in the grocery store and someone said, well, why'd my taxes go up? And you can say, well, it went, our general fund went up 0.5%. The Underhill Jericho Fire Department went up about 10%.
right,
The Denver.
That's not right.
6%.
But their budget was like 40% more or 60 or 80% more. When we approved the budget,
I think.
Whose budget?
UJFD,
remember that it gets split, the whole budget.
but it was a huge percentage. It was 40 or 50%. Yeah,
I don't think it was that big. I didn't-
yes, it was. Absolutely. I went and talked to him about it.
It was 572 versus, gosh, I'm sorry.
6 something, wasn't it?
I can run up and grab my book.
Yeah, get your book.
Yeah.
Cause it did go up. I know that had gone up.
It-
I think you're thinking of the year before, because see how big that year before was? The 25.
My memory's terrible, so I'm being
'Cause I know the year
mindful of
before went
that,
up
but
huge.
this year was the first year that I'm the one that talked to him about it. And it's the only year that I'm the one that talked to him about it. So I just think that. And I remember giving him crap after town meeting, when we got all this scrutiny over our budget that hardly went up at all. He gave his pitch and his had gone up by 40% and he didn't get a single peep. I remember picking on him about that a little bit.
Yeah, it's in the town plan, town report.
The local agreement actually went down. I think that might be, without doing all the deep research. I think
That was
the
huge.
old red mill, I think part of the property became taxable. And
That's
I
right.
think that change decreased the amount to be raised by local agreement because they, again, came out of the non-taxable piece part of it. The rates of the conservation in Old Red Mill didn't change. So the total town component did go up 2%. And the school tax, however, that's the big one.
Mhm.
And just for reference, look at the year before, and this is apropos of nothing, but it actually went down the year before.
That's right, they
Yeah.
did.
And it was
They worked
a
very well.
lot of things going into that, but one of it was the use of some of the surplus funds that were available and applied last year and our share this year.
Yeah, that's what.
So our share went from 409,699 in the 2023 budget to 520,600.
520, okay.
So that's 120,000 on four, so that's,
2023 and then, so you're going,
23-24 is 520,672, and 24-25 was 579,107.
see,
So 520 to 579.
About
Because we-
10%.
because this is 24-25 that we're talking about.
In
Is that-
23-24, it was 520 is what on their budget.
And that's why that went up 25% that year,
And 10% from
that
This year.
10%.
Right.
Eric, I'll look into that.
yeah,
to
it
be
just,
sure.
But yeah, that's what their budget was, yeah.
But this is just a picture of the different components change. The far right-hand part
Yeah,
is that, for example, even though the Underhill Jericho Fire Department went up 10%, it represents 4.8% or about 5% of the total town budget.
right.
right.
But when
Or
people
the
talk,
total tax bills going out, not the town budget, sorry.
but when you run into somebody and they yell at us for our town, you could
Yeah.
say, well, look at your bill, look at the school tax.
Now,
Unfortunately,
having said all that, we're in a little bit of a jam going into next year. And I'm only just reminding folks that we did cut that paving budget.
oh, significantly to make it happen.
Which we won't, which
knew
we
the
can't
school
do
tax.
next year, yeah.
We can't.
And I'm thinking that a real, if you're out cruising the roads, and I'll do this on my own as well, just make some mental notes with the town crew to identify what the real needs are.
Yeah, because we used to have a chart that came out of capital plan after the master transportation plan, where they developed a protocol to look at our roads and stuff. It was,
We actually have been talking about that, Jacob and myself,
Yeah.
about having, Pike actually does that. We'll go out and inspect all the roads and he'll label them from what's
Yeah.
really important to
Yeah.
the least important to do.
yeah, in fact, but of course, I think that was done in 2018 was the last time we had actually
Yeah.
done. Because what you do is you look at the, pavement quality index, PQI. And, then you monitor, because sometimes if the road is bad, you just let it get worse. Basically, as long as people can pass, because it's cheaper, rather than throwing your entire paving budget, it gets to one road that is, and it doesn't change your PQI, but eventually you rebuild the whole road, so everything does good.
It's like when you set up a reserve fund, if you did for all of the pieces of property.
Yeah,
And then you make it comes time, and then you make a determination, it can go a little further. So
Exactly.
just that the exercise of some judgment is always
yeah,
helpful
absolutely.
to prioritize correctly.
Yeah, like, what happens with bridges, because sometimes they go quicker than you think they are.
Yes,
So yeah, it is a good call out though, that we won't be able to make that much of a cut next year. And
Right.
So
Right.
maybe the school tax won't go up as much next year, but the town tax will
Yeah.
be going up
The school tax will also be going up.
again.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
because they
It's
bought
the
it,
beginning of a little hellscape of its educational funding.
That's because they brought it down so much over the last few years because they, trying to help people, but in the end, there's a cliff. And it got bigger because they again took some one-time money just trying to,
But is it gonna be like another 15%? Something crazy like that?
could be.
Jeez.
That's why they're gonna start that study right away. I think they're supposed.
But the question for you, Brian, and I'm guessing this is a super complex answer, so don't bother if it is. Why is the non-homestead going up less than the homestead? Which goes to back to like how are the tax rates determined, which is a whole big messy formula.
I guess there's a quick answer and a not so quick answer, and maybe I'll stick with the not so quick answer, which is, that goes into the formulas and how they fund education to begin with. I'd be really out on a limb to try to provide a meaningful answer.
But the difference in homestead and non-homestead is driven solely by the education side of things.
It would be,
Because we don't care about homestead, we just care about property value and tax rate.
right,
Okay.
yeah.
That's,
And the other thing, I remind ourselves that on the tax bills this year, we've got to put the correct language for penalties.
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 and 4, right?
right. Yeah, that was my question. I mean, because that's year we start that.
So the recommendation is that we set the tax rate as noted.
Yeah, so is that how I make that motion, just as noted, or should I say it out loud? And if I do say it out loud, which one of these numbers do I say?
I think, quite honestly,
I'm not saying them all.
What if you said like, for what Amy's got down below, you can adopt the FY 25, what about that?
I think, yeah,
Down below.
below.
Oh, those bold
and
Yes.
statements, I can do that.
and this will reflect the
Yes.
rates in that 24-25 column.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm gonna make I'm ready, unless there's more discussion, I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay,
do it.
I make a motion that the select board adopt a FY 25 general fund tax rate of 0.4201. A FY 25 local agreement rate of 0.0040. A FY 25 UJFD rate of 0.0816. A FY 25 Deborah Rawson Library rate of 0.0274. And then finally, to continue the 3% late filed homestead declaration penalty.
and just mention that the
change of
the tax penalty will be
Yep.
4% rather than 8%.
That isn't part of the motion, though, that's just.
That's not part of the,
already- That's a done
That,
deal.
Yeah,
that's it on, yeah. that's
so
true.
we'll just end the motion at
Okay,
the
just,
the
we're just.
3% late filed homestead declaration penalty.
And
We're just-
I'll just say out loud for Donna doing the minutes, that all the numbers that Eric read were all dollar amounts, not pennies. They're dollars.
Oh, yeah. Those all had dollar signs before them that I didn't say out loud, that Peter's giving me crap about on the record.
Just write it down. Dollars and pennies is about 100 times
It's
different.
true, but
Just about
that's
100.
true, the 4% is not part of the motion, but it just echoing Brian, that people need to remember that
We
it's.
could get some complaints.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brian, for coming in.
Thank
Oh,
you
we
for
need a-
taking it.
I'm gonna get you a little.
Do we
bit
have
more
a-
explanation of the
Second?
difference between home.
Second,
Some of the, I'm sorry.
that'd be great. I'd appreciate that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Enjoy the rest of the evening, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
What we've been waiting for all evening is how are the roads coming along?
Right there. It's one story.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can slide that right down that way and he'll come over and, yeah, perfect. We'll try to pull up some pictures.
That's a
for
great
you guys.
picture,
Well,
just like all kinds of other pictures we've seen across the state.
yeah.
So that is the current condition of Fitzsimons Bridge. We have been Paula and I have been communicating with Alicia Kane, she, I know whose place she took, I can't remember the exact,
Ashley.
Ashley and Nick Hoskins, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and. So we've been in communication with her and her, recommendation is to not touch this yet. Due to a bridge inspection and, B. This is gonna be work that has to be contracted. Just because of the bank on stabilization, the guardrails. There's a lot of pieces to this repair.
Excuse me, if you're trying to screen share, we can't see anything.
Getting that.
Thank you for saying that, whoever's
Thank you,
watching. and-
Aaron.
It's the green arrow. Yep.
Let's try that. There we go. Thanks, Aaron.
So until this.
It's not
can be
doing it.
repaired,
It isn't.
No, you're still sharing just the folder.
Yes.
Yep, just that.
Perfect. Thank
And
you.
then click, then, nope. Now you got it. You got it. You're sharing.
Yay.
So for the time being, this has Jersey barriers on either side. To keep vehicles from crossing the bridge.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, I can't keep pedestrians cause I have seen multiple. People using like the mob's trails up at the top of Fitzsimons, they seem to do a loop. And come back through, so they're still crossing in that section, even with the road closed sign out, and the Jersey barriers.
but they're walking.
Walking, but that has changed since, there's undermining underneath the road. About halfway across that lane,
Oh, geez.
so it has continued as it is still open, it continues to fall.
And is the road still there with carve out underneath it?
Yes,
So someone could walk on the road and have it
if
collapse?
they're not aware
If
of
they're not
what,
paying attention to what's on
Yeah.
the road,
it could step too close to the edge and then, and that is,
break off.
yeah. That's one of my big concerns.
That would be,
Yeah.
yeah, terrible.
So my hope. And this could be a lengthy process regarding FEMA and all those things, but my hope is to have this back open before school starts. For bus routes and stuff, because it's gonna make better, we have to that whole bank right there needs to be reestablished. I've talked to Chris Burnell with Natural Resources, because now that mill. That's Millbrook too, I believe.
Yep.
Has changed course. So now if I had taken a picture over where the pickup is, looking upstream, it is coming directly at Fitzsimons Road.
Wow.
So potentially, and there's like a 7-foot high by probably 100-foot long by 100 feet wide pile of sediment that has flown down. Changing that, which is contributing to changing that course. So I am working with Chris Burnell, waiting for written okay to kind of not get into the stream, but move the material back to get the course to, so that way we don't have this issue in future events, or trying to minimize the effect and to get it, because the angle that bridge is at. If we were to keep it how it is, it would wash right across and you wouldn't even be able to get to the bridge itself.
Oh,
Yeah, the river is actually like coming straight this way and it's heading right
Right where the
like
barrels are.
this. Yep. So where that sediment is over here, it's directing the river to go up and around and straight across.
wow.
And unfortunately, I did not send Paula that picture. I do have a picture of it if you guys want
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah, I'd like to see it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've seen it do that. I was just telling them, not this year, but a couple years ago, down below my parents, it, same brook, further down, ate into the other side, further down, not near a house or anything. But it ate into the bank, dropped a whole bunch of trees in it, and then that just redirected the brook, and it took away they must have lost like a quarter acre of topsoil that just
Wow.
all went down just from that.
Oh, my gosh.
so that sediment sitting.
All that,
all of that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's just shove the whole thing. Up the road.
And with doing that,
That's,
Um,
oh my, that's a
because
huge amount
it
of
would be a
gravel.
part of FEMA, so now anything we take out of, which I've given Paula all GPS
Wow.
coordinates, locations of every spot we've had. A part of this event, but we also have to have a GPS coordinate of if we change culverts. Any material we come out, we have to have a GPS coordinate of that location as well. So, everything is coming back to the shop and getting put into a pile until
So
everything
it
is,
all washes up till it's all.
until everything is done and we're clear to, we're clear
We
from
have our
this.
documentation. or-
Yes. Because I found from previous. Events when I was over in Bolton. That was one of the big things is anything that is coming out needs to, they wanna see like
Yeah.
culverts, they wanna inspect. You know, if the culvert was maintained, if it was a failing culvert and that's what contributed to it. They
Oh,
want,
wow.
the material that washed through, they gotta be able to tell, sticks, stones.
So you have to
Oh,
have pictures
You
or
have a big
something.
pile of junk.
Yeah,
Right.
out behind the shop, yeah, over where that big stone
Yeah,
pile was,
yeah.
over back there, yeah.
Really, everything that you pull out, has to,
And every ditching, cause like Snipe Island,
yeah,
we need to ditch,
a lot.
probably 6/10 of a mile up through.
And you still have to put that in a pile that they can look at.
And yeah, and we have to have,
Wow.
it's a lot easier than, pushing it off, yeah, we could push it off. But then if we just have it there, they can see,
It's just-
and they can tell, we actually took that amount out.
Right, right.
It's a lot, I learned it's a lot easier.
That's great that you had that experience. and we're
Absolutely.
benefiting From that and not gonna get caught with our
Yeah.
pants down, like,
Yeah.
oh, we have to throw it all away.
Yeah,
And right
Yeah,
now, I-
exactly. We used it to, used it to fill something
Right,
else.
right.
Yeah.
with other failing spots, like this is, above Gravel on Snipe Island where the gentleman that was just in here was talking about, that did come out of that class 4. I actually walked up there because I wanted to see what was causing the issue, to see if it was something we can prevent in future events, and I did see what he was mentioning about the rock. The stream that comes down through is not a stream it's about this wide, it's like this deep. It's not a stream you would imagine
Okay.
would cause that, but it did.
Wow.
So when that was repaired, I did go. Probably 40 feet up into that class 4 to make a cutout. So that way any water, if it does rise again, would disperse out
Have a place to
into,
go.
into that brook. Instead of coming directly down the road and fixing it or ruining everything we just spent time fixing.
Yeah, that's, yeah, cause we got not quite 6 inches of rain in less than 24 hours.
Yeah,
Based on our rain weather system.
yeah.
Stuff that we monitored.
Yeah, I was up checking because I was nervous in Huntington, the
Oh,
Huntington River,
it's,
and being able to get here. So I
oh,
was up at 10:30 checking that out and everything looked good. I went to bed until 12:30 and I got up and they were East Street Bridge down below my house. I've never seen water up to that and they were
Wow.
evacuating everyone right there. Yeah.
so that's Leary, right?
Yeah, that's what it was 2 or 3 days after the event.
after, yeah. I think I've got another one for Lee.
Yep, that was
There's
the day of
3.
the event.
Oh, cool. Well, not cool, but I wanted to, I'm glad you got a picture because I wanted to see it because
So what's that?
That's
Leary.
That's
Road.
Mill Brook.
I can't believe
That's,
Formerly known as Leary Road.
Yeah.
that
and
is
that,
amazing. I've never seen real.
It ran through the meadow,
yeah,
like it totally, the bridge is way down.
Yeah,
And that
yeah,
water
probably a
just
mile.
came right through the whole meadow.
oh,
and
yeah,
Right over all that entire road.
yeah,
It's
I've never
crazy.
seen Leary that high, and of course Bentley was just up there too, just like
Mhm.
that, running across the road for a long distance. I was surprised at how far it went.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and with that location there, that is Lower Snipe.
Oh, my gosh,
Um,
no wonder they couldn't get through.
Now we know why they call it island.
Yeah,
we had that section back open by 12:30, 1 o'clock. So Gravel down to there was open by 12:30, 1 o'clock, the day of the storm.
wow.
I called John Angelino in with his bulldozer because I hadn't been able to get up any farther and there was already, that's Milo White. And there was folks stranded out there. It happened to be, a young lady's due date to have a baby.
Oh, my God.
So I was on a mad dash to get that over. Because I did not sign up to
Yeah, we had a friend who was in the hospital having a procedure, and from Snipe Island, and
Right.
but he was able, when she was done, he was able, after what you've done, he was able to get through to get to pick her up at the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
that's.
you guys really did, tremendous work.
So as of Monday morning, the only roads, everything besides Leary Road and Fitzsimons Bridge are back open to 2 lanes. The reason Leary Road has not been back open to 2 lanes is I was waiting for culverts.
Visit the physical culvert to come in.
Yeah, from our vendor to be able to replace it and upsize it, so that way. We can,
Smart to upside, yes.
yeah, and right now with FEMA, that is 100, I was telling Peter earlier today, it is 100% payback, so. Once we get to a certain point, they only pay so much, mitigation pays so much. Right now, they pay the full 100%, so the more we have completed before it's declared and all that stuff, then. That's more money we receive back.
Yeah. I mean, that's just very smart,
Mhm.
smart move.
Mhm.
But. Just, we, we were hit hard, but we're fortunate we're not hit as hard as some of the other communities.
And with that, we have, been giving mutual aid. We received mutual aid from Underhill, which we are very appreciative of, the day of the event. Russ and the rest of the group came down with their 4 trucks and were there the bulk of the day hauling the material over on Snipe. To get those residents to be able to have some way of getting out of there. And then we have the last 2 days, we have been giving mutual aid over to Richmond. Because of how. Communicating with Pete, he's got 5 contractors, they just don't have enough trucks, so I said, hey.
Yeah.
We have damage, but we weren't as devastating as you are, I'd be glad to help. Same thing with Bolton.
Oh, well, yeah, the ski access area really took a hit.
And we had to fix 2 portions, a portion of Nashville Road. On the Bolton side and a portion of Stage Road. In order for the residents up in West Bolton to be able to evacuate or leave, through Nashville Road. Because Nashville Road, up until, I believe Monday or Tuesday, was the only way in or out of West Bolton. So we've been, we had to fix those sections before we could even get to our stuff, just to make sure people were safe.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, because there's some, edge ravines that, on Nashville, but, at least you could drive the road and, most of the road is actually pretty amazing.
Yeah, and to be able to get our trucks and material over to the other end of Leary Road. With the water being so high, it's kind of the route I was going to get material over to the other washed out section.
So mutual aid, are we giving money to Underhill?
So what happens is we have like a written agreement.
Okay.
So we give them trucks and like personnel in that truck.
Yeah.
And then I'll make, how many, like this truck, this employee. A list of, and then I will give that to Pete, so they would get reimbursed, like we'll get reimbursed for Underhill's help because of our mutual aid, written mutual aid.
Oh,
agreement.
FEMA will pay us directly.
Yes, so if we
Oh.
do not have a mutual aid agreement, then that's pretty much just like, thanks for helping,
Okay,
where we will actually get.
so you
Yeah.
can
Receive.
you can send FEMA, I had 3 guys and 2 trucks go and do this for 18 hours and whatever.
Yeah, along with as long as we have that
The
documentation.
mutual aid to
Yeah.
back it up.
Yeah, we've got
And
it.
then same thing with Richmond or Bolton, they will receive, money from our help and then.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're working with Bolton. I just got, he came over and signed today, but I'm waiting for his original back so I can sign it, send that, and then that'll be recorded. So we'll have a
Okay,
mutual aid with Bolton, Underhill, and then Richmond is going to present to their select board and we'll have one with them. So all surrounding towns
All
will
coordinated.
all have a mutual aid agreement together.
Right.
That's great. That's very smart.
Yeah.
Because it gives, unfortunately, based on what.
New normal, I mean.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
not gonna be the only time that this happens somewhere.
And
Right,
it's
right.
something that, it doesn't necessarily need to be. Something as devastating as this.
Right,
It could be
exactly.
as simple as, we have
Yep,
a grant project and we got something like this, we're pushed back. Hey, can I borrow 4 of your trucks so I can get back?
Do
to
this,
that?
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and then, and same thing with winter, you have a truck breakdown,
Yeah.
hey, you might go plowing and
Yeah.
spreading salt on this,
Yeah.
ground trace to get people through. Something,
Great.
having
That's great.
stuff like
Very-
that is.
Very good. Pretty amazing.
thank you.
Nice work.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Jessica?
I have a question about Fitzsimons. You can't close that to just local traffic only, I'm assuming, but I'm wondering if there should be a sign on the Barber Farm end that says that the bridge is closed, so people know it's not a through road. Cause it's hard
Yeah.
to turn, or when you get down to the end there, it's
Yeah.
like you're in Mr. Motor's driveway, but there's not really a good place to turn around,
No.
especially if it's a bus or something.
Yeah, and I also had to order more signs in order to do that. as
Right.
well. So we ended up using all cones, all barrels we had, marking all the spots. And kind of been grabbing them back as we've been getting and I'm ordering some more cones for.
Well,
stuff like
I
this.
imagine the number of cones that people needed, plus the number of culverts trying to get all that stuff, and
Right.
Yeah.
the number of trucks that were lined up to get gravel, even, all the gravel pits.
Yeah,
Yep,
Huge amount of
For
gravel. I was
sure.
lucky I got 14 yards, so.
right,
Yeah.
right.
yeah, no, and I also want to, I was super appreciative to John Angelino for coming out as quick. I called him and he was there within an hour with his bulldozer and his truck. Him and Alex were great. JD Budby and his guys were right there with trucks,
Oh, that's
Great.
great.
hauling material to us, so that if it wasn't for. Our mutual aid help and, the residents,
Step up.
commercial residents around, we wouldn't be where we are as quick as we were,
Mhm.
so.
Cool.
So
And
that's
and
good.
along with the guys in the shop, they. Not. Necessarily have they dealt with something quite as big as this, but, once we kind of all rally together and. Figured out what exactly, what was safe and what we needed to do, it was pretty easy and pretty
That's
quick,
terrific.
to have them, step up and do what they needed to do. It made my job so much easier.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Jacob.
Yeah, thank you
Thanks,
guys.
thank you very much.
I'll email you about taking a ride up to,
Yeah, I'm gonna take a ride up there right now before I leave, just to see that sinkhole, just to be safe.
Make sure it's not gonna.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not something super serious, like,
Close it now.
yeah,
Yeah,
No.
that would be,
Don't-
not,
yeah, so I'd rather be safe than sorry.
that's right.
Perfect. Thanks, Jacob.
Thank you, work, Jacob. Have a good night.
Thank you. Next is review the delinquent dog list. So you want to talk about that, Jessica? No,
No, I mean, it's getting down there, but,
so what is it? We have 70
about 70 dogs on it. now.
70 dogs, but
We
no.
did 3 or 4 dogs today.
So is it time for us to,
Are we approving this letter?
with
We
the,
have a
wa-
letter, we have a sample letter.
A second letter.
We have a sample letter in our,
This is like the copy of the warrant, the
Warrant.
sample warrant.
so is it time for the warrant then?
Well, or just a sample warrant. saying,
Sample warrant, yeah.
Please take care of this now, because we don't want to have to issue a warrant.
Yeah, some of these have, dogs that are, it's been a couple of years. It's still because they're backed up with the vets and stuff like that. Get the rabies or just,
There were some people that called in June that said that they were you know, that they had an appointment in July, so they were gonna get it done, and those people, I think, have taken care of it. Mail is a problem too,
Right,
I mean, there's some people that don't get their mail.
Yeah, and that's true, because
So,
sometimes you get it once a month, once a week, I mean, if you're lucky, or other times you just, I mean, sometimes you get it a couple days in a row. It's really kind of exciting. It's always a crapshoot.
Yeah.
I think mail is the best way. We
Yeah.
are collecting people's emails, and I think Nemrick they have a dog program. Like, they have another version, but we don't have that new version yet, which
Yeah.
we may have next year, so it might be email.
So do you need us to make a motion to direct you to send a letter?
I think you already did.
I thought we sort
Yeah, I
of
think
laid
you
out
already
the mark
laid out
dates.
the plan. Yeah.
Right.
This is
Yeah.
the
This
second
is just
letter.
like, hey, just so you know, there's, people who are getting second letter. And it's gonna include the sample.
So you want a
sample
motion to,
warrant,
yeah, so a
and-
motion to approve the second letter?
Yeah, I always find it curious when you see,
Oh, we didn't need, you said, you said we needed, do you need a motion to approve the second letter?
What do we do now, I guess, was what Peter and I are wondering.
Motion to just do the second letter and then we'll just do it.
Okay, I make a motion to direct Jessica to send the second letter along with the sample warrant. To the remaining delinquent dog owners, dogs or dog owners.
Dog owners, I mean, they're not, they're not
The
gonna,
dog owner.
yeah, I'll second that.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
You know, I just find it curious too, that you have some of these owners that have two dogs, and one of them, is current with its rabies, the other is like, a year or 2 years behind, and it's kind of odd, unless there's some of those dogs, I know, get dispensations of having,
Yeah, there's probably two dogs out there that instead of getting a rabies vaccine, they get an exemption letter from their vet. As the dogs get older, sometimes they can get sensitive to the vaccine.
Right.
So, or because of other medical issues, the veterinarian will say, if it's actually not in the dog's best interest to be vaccinated, and they do a titer, I think, and then the owner agrees that they'll keep their dog kind of quarantined from other dogs because it's not vaccinated.
that makes sense, yeah, because
Okay,
it's interesting.
thanks, Jessica.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Jessica. Next is updates. Who wants to go first? I just have a couple odds and ends.
I'll go first, I guess. I have for you guys, Claudine's recommendations on the policy, the road policy, also Tyler's recommendations and, Jacob's recommendations.
Wow.
Oh, great,
So
thank you.
there's, if you want to just pass each one down. So, and then actually Linda's is in there as well, I'm sorry. So they all.
So Linda and Jacob and
Linda,
Tyler.
Jacob, Tyler,
all-
all kind of
And
contributed, and Claudine. So you have, their Claudine's in blue, Linda's is in red, and then Jacob's and Tyler's are attached via email because, Tyler had some, good questions.
Oh, good. That's great.
Yeah.
So now we
So
study it.
We can, yeah, and figure out what your thoughts is of going with. I still haven't gotten a number. I am still working on that, like. What type of number should we look for per mile, half mile kind of thing, but I'm
Right.
kind of working on that.
Right.
I am working on, now that we've gotten, all the mutual aids done, I am working on creating a disposal policy. Which,
Disposal.
yeah, well, Jacob has come in and there is some things that have been at the shop that just sit out in the back or like an old trailer can, so this policy will allow us to sell it, and get money back to put into whatever, but we'll be able to, as long as we have a policy, I think is the best thing to start with. It's in order, before we sell these kinds of things, there's like an old plow, an old trailer. So I think it would be.
The old
really-
bridge.
No, yeah, right, exactly, so.
Because that bridge could be very useful. It was
Probably could be, yeah,
way too heavy to move
Right.
and didn't fit for the for the
Exactly.
Mills Riverside part.
it is true.
And it isn't quite big enough to use for the Lee River crossing either.
Right. So I do want to have that in place. I've sent that to Claudine and she's gonna look it over.
That's
Um,
great.
The other thing is, I do have an update on the wastewater feasibility 90% report. That is gonna be hopefully by the end of August. Jonathan is working on that and so.
End of August, you said?
Yes, end of August.
Is the
Um,
hope for date.
Yes, hopeful, yes. Other than that, I am reaching out I reached out a while ago to Vermont Local Roads on the public works specs. And they had said to me then that it's possible that they could help me in getting these public works specs updated. So I'm kind of working on that
Wow.
as well, to get that going. And I think that's it. That's all I have.
Oh, wow. So we just need to, one of the things for, is to organize calendars so that we can meet PC to select board, to deal with some of the issues like Chuck talked about. and stuff like that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So have you done any work on what you just said, coordinating calendars and getting?
Well,
It seems like the planning commission and the select board need to sit down
right, exactly.
based on all
And
the
that's what they're
emails
trying,
flying around.
because Paul was talking about, getting calendars together.
Yeah, I do have that on my list to contact them to try to get something together with you guys
Yeah.
and
So
them.
it's a work session.
A work session with them,
Is
yeah.
how it would be worn.
I mean, we can probably,
Could we just
we
crash?
could go to one of their
Crash,
meetings.
But like, could they say, yeah, our next meeting, them, PC saying, our next meeting, we'll set aside and we'll have 2 hours with the select board to stand, just talk through all this stuff.
We just show up at their Tuesdays, right?
Tuesdays, yeah.
We could do that.
Do that.
If I don't want to derail.
Because otherwise we're gonna coordinate however many of them. Aren't there like 20 of them or something?
It's like 7 or 8.
7, yeah.
But maybe that is better, yeah.
It has
I can
to
certainly ask.
Well, as long as we don't take any action, we could go to a meeting that's warned by them.
Well, we could also.
Well, we could warn it
We could
ourselves,
we
just
could
say-
warn both of us. or-
Yeah, just say your next regularly scheduled meeting is now gonna be our meeting because that gives us the power to do things, whatever.
Right,
Right,
Right.
yeah,
Or
'cause you have
joint
to
or
do something
whatever.
like that for open meeting, otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that's how it would be done.
So that'd be great. That's
Okay.
probably the fastest way to schedule a meeting with them.
I would think it would be.
Yep, I'll reach out.
I know they're working real hard on the updates to that bylaw update, so we'll see when they can,
Yeah.
see what their schedule is to fit us in then. But
Yep.
seem to be a little more flexible.
And there's only 3 of us. There's.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, yeah. 20.
What's how about the committee that, what do you call it? Chair to chair?
Chair to chair, yeah.
And have you done anything on that?
Not this week,
Okay.
because
Yeah, it's only been a week.
We only met last
I know
week.
it's really good. And the key is, I had out of town guests all this week too.
Oh,
So there was a lot to do and I was trying to work all this stuff in. And so I didn't do a lot of the stuff and my husband did more than I did with them. So, there's a couple things I had to pass on. But it was an absolutely exquisite morning to have breakfast at Children Farms. I'll tell you, the weather was just beautiful.
Today?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful today. I tell you, I
I
woke
did
up
do
this
that.
morning, it was like a different pattern or something.
But yeah, I'm not quite for chair to chair, but next week is start getting all those organized. This is all Paula has to do is send me because chairs have changed. I just need their emails. And
Yeah.
I'll set that up and then we can get some of the things happening that way. So cross pollination and all that good stuff. So that's but in terms of my own updates, this goes to the food hub. Underhill has now just approved $250 to the food hub as well. And for their upcoming community breakfast in August. And unfortunately, Jericho Settlers Farm was to donate the greens for the salad, but the field that was ruined by
The rain.
the flooding. So that was sad. And I'll say again that Jet Force is looking for more members for energy or climate issues because the summer doldrums really have hit hard. And I had scheduled meetings for June and July and did not submit minutes because there really wasn't much of a meeting. That's why you don't see minutes for those, because there were not enough attendees. But we're still considering an EV event at Brownsburg Middle School with Underhill in the fall. And hopefully we're gonna include some e-bikes this year. And turns out, because we did not coordinate, the reception for the artists participating in the current show Bridges is Saturday, July 27th from 10 to noon, which is the same date as the pet parade.
All right.
Because so we're gonna, encourage folks to come to the reception early at the 10 o'clock, have some coffee,
Yeah.
tea, snacks, look at the art, and then you're all set to go for the pet parade. Or if, depending on when the pet parade ends, come over at the end and get refreshments. And then the people who are artists who are interested, the next show is Small Wonders. And it's any topic you want because it's a size defined show. In other words, because we thought having, there was one show that we had this year that had a lot of little ones and it was fun to do the whole wall that way. We decided to do a whole show that way because the prices are more reasonable and people might be looking for Christmas gifts, could actually buy, local art. So we're going to do that from September through December. But those are just the fun stuff that I did.
We had a meeting of the town garage folks today with Matt and with the guys from the design team. We met, talked here for, I don't know, an hour, maybe a half hour, I'm not sure. And just kind of line out some logistical stuff, communication flow, meeting minutes, how to use the smart sheet as a centralized place. Wayne came, which was nice.
Oh, good.
Yes.
And we talked about the calendar, and they sort of, I'll skip all the details of it, but they basically are saying they're working from a breaking ground on May 1st. And sort of back to the May 1st of 2025, so
Oh,
the spring,
oh, wow.
and then backing out the schedule back to that, which pretty quickly lands it today, like there's a lot to be done, and the guy from Cross, actually, we had said, can you get this piece done by this date? He said, that's too late, I think he did it by this date.
Wow,
We were
so
like,
he's
oh,
really paying
okay,
attention.
great, so, and I guess storm wastewater can be 4 or 5 months to get it, so that was
The
a
permits.
driver to get the
Yeah.
permits.
Yeah.
Then we went over to the site and looked around, climbed around, looked at the site, talked about the different parameters. It's gonna be a big building. Like, we were climbing on top of this pile of gravel, and
Yeah.
Jacob was like, yeah, it's gonna end with that tree. I was like, holy crap. So
Yeah.
it's like 60 by 200, I think. It's a big building.
Yeah, they put in some extra bays so that there's
Yeah.
potential, which is good. I mean, it's smart to do it that way.
Yeah. And we talked about the size of it, and someone said, it's a 50-year building. It's it needs to be enough for a long time. I was totally overwhelmed by the amount of work to be done. We were standing on top of like a 20-foot high pile of gravel. And they were like, well, you move all this, level this. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. Like, just doing that, I'm overwhelmed. So,
That's right, there's a lot of
Not my
gravel.
line of work, but.
That's
So
amazing.
it was good, but it was good for me personally to get my eyes on it and just begin to get a sense of the scope of what's getting done and what the process is. And everybody seems, Chris Flynn was there. Chris, Linda, Vaughn, Chris, Paula, myself, Matt, Jacob were all at the meeting, and then everybody, I think, except for Paula and Linda, went over to the site. Oh, and Wayne, all went over to the site.
Yeah.
And it was good, and Huck pooped on the gravel. Huck is a dog for the minutes.
Yeah. I mean, that's, when you think about having to move that
Oh
much
my God,
gravel.
just this.
A lot.
And they were talking about taking elevations, and I was like, how do you even begin to think about the elevation? You're in this pile of stuff, and where do you call ground
Right,
zero?
what do you call it?
Where
Yeah,
do you begin to like mark up, put a stake and say, this is the corner, like it just.
yeah.
Cause that's really,
the
it's
size
all
of the
that stuff.
project is just, I mean, $4 million is a lot of money, but I'm like, oh my God, that's a huge project.
Yeah.
I have a couple things for executive session, but
Okay,
that's all I have for.
got anything?
No, I haven't done much since last week.
I know, because part of it was just like,
Oh.
wait,
I had one thing. Which was mostly for Paul and Linda. I thank you for putting the minutes in front porch, the agenda in front porch forum.
Yep.
This is what I had in mind for a format for it,
Oh, good, oh, good,
just like.
Oh, I love bullets.
oh,
yeah,
Oh,
It was,
man.
the way that
perfect.
Paul, the way that Linda put it in was kind of a paragraph, which I had said, like a paragraph.
Yep,
What
yep,
I meant was like topic,
this,
topic,
Yeah, yeah,
layman's
yeah,
terms,
yep,
topic, layman's terms.
yep.
So I just did a
I think it's a
sample,
great idea, yeah.
so I just did a sample I was like,
This
stop
is
trying to
good.
explain it, just show them one.
Yep. I
That's
think
terrific.
Perfect.
Absolutely terrific.
And then you're a citizen, you can skim it, you can look at the bullets,
Yes,
you can see
and
what is road foreman talking about? Oh, it's not about
Right,
the road policy.
right, right,
See, I'm not gonna
right,
tell them it's not
right.
road policy, it's.
Right,
it's the-
exactly.
It's the board.
That is good.
Right,
Yep,
yeah. Yeah, Wisdom House, they're having an event at their house tonight. That's why they're not here.
Yeah, I like that.
That's
Yeah.
very-
I was after something like this earlier on, so
That's great.
Yeah.
So.
I think that'll help.
Yeah.
Well, because we're trying to get people to participate,
Yes.
right? So that we're not like,
Absolutely,
how can you not have heard of this?
Right,
You
right,
know, so,
right.
And the words and then a couple sentences,
Yep.
sentences
Yeah.
saying
Exactly.
layman's terms, what we're talking about.
right.
Yeah, I think it's
That's
absolutely
good.
terrific because it also helps the town meeting reimagine stuff because, here's the select board trying to engage people already,
Right,
again,
right.
and because that's what they're tasked to get the kickoff in we're just talking September, October already for them to kick off, people to start
Right.
thinking about budget.
Right, I know.
Right.
What they want to see in the budget kind of stuff. The next is approve the minutes of 7-11-18. And I think I was pretty good on this one. I didn't really see anything that I was gonna jump on.
motion to approve the minutes of 7-11.
Oh, yeah, slushies.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And,
Oh, there's no warrants because we just did them last week.
Right.
Oh, all right.
so now we have a possible executive session.
Motion to go into an executive session, because premature disclosure of the information would be detrimental to parties involved for reasons of personnel and legal, and I'd like to invite Paula Carrier to that executive session. And I would just need a second.
Second,
All
sorry.
those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you,
Peter's like,
everybody. Good night.
when does he stop rambling? Thank you.